Let's take a closer look at transfer disputes under the transfer policy. A dispute might be of a formal nature, resolved in court or through arbitration, or informal, resolved through ordinary communication between registrars. The transfer policy encourages registrar coordination so that disputes can be resolved informally whenever possible. For this reason, each registrar is required to maintain a dedicated transfer issues point of contact and to respond to inquiries submitted to this email address within 7 calendar days. In addition, upon request by a losing registrar, a gaining registrar must provide a copy of the FOA and attendant documentation to the losing registrar within 5 calendar days. Failure to provide the requested documentation within 5 days provides grounds for reversal of the transfer. Finally, both gaining and losing registrars must provide copies of all evidence relied upon during and after the transfer process to the other upon request. Speaking of evidence, let's spend just a moment reviewing the sorts of documents and evidence registrars are required to retain under the transfer policy. First, both gaining and losing registrars are responsible for keeping copies of the FOAs they use during a transfer and also for keeping copies of the transfer contact's responses to the FOAs. The gaining registrar must also keep a copy of the Who Is data that identifies the transfer contact. In addition, the gaining registrar must retain the proof of identification received from the purported transfer contact, establishing that he or she is indeed the registered name holder or administrative contact for the domain name. For its part, if the losing registrar denies a transfer for one of the reasons allowed by the policy, it must retain proof that the circumstances warranted the denial. For example, if the transfer contact made written objection to the transfer, that written objection should be retained. All of this documentation could be requested by the registry, ICANN, or a court, or other dispute resolution authority. Upon such a request, the registrar must provide the requested information within 5 calendar days. Although most disputes related to inter-registrar transfers are resolved quickly and informally, the transfer policy also incorporates a mechanism for registrars to bring formal disputes through the Transfer Dispute Resolution Policy, or TDRP. Under the TDRP, a registrar can bring its complaint to either the involved registry or an ICANN-approved dispute resolution provider, also called a TDRP provider, within 6 months of an alleged violation of the transfer policy. The registry is ordinarily considered the first level, and the TDRP provider is considered the second level in this process because registry decisions can be appealed to a TDRP provider, but TDRP provider decisions are final and can only be appealed in court. Specific procedures for initiating and responding to transfer disputes are outlined in the TDRP, which can be viewed using the web address shown here.